So in this video, I'm going to be going over my exact keyword research process I've used over the past few years to find book topics that have generated me over $100,000 and sold over 7,000 audiobooks. And don't forget, there is a completely free Amazon KDP course as well as an Amazon Ads masterclass in the first link in the description. So after you watch this video, definitely check those out as they are very valuable resources. Let's waste no time and get right into the video. So my $100,000 keyword research method for Amazon KDP. So if you're brand new to this, there is a few terms you need to know. The first one being keyword. A keyword is just what people search on Amazon. They go to Amazon, they go to the search bar, they type in stock market investing for teens. But I also use this interchangeably with book topics. In my opinion, a book topic and a keyword are the same thing. Technically, stock market investing and stock market investing for teens are the same topic. It's on stock market investing. However, I like to publish books in very specific topics. So although it's in the same overall book topic, the search term changes, which means the book topic changes. Stock market investing for beginners, let's say, and stock market investing for teens are two different topics with two different audiences. So the next term we have to note is BSR, which is bestseller rank. Every book on Amazon has a rank called the bestseller rank in relation to every other book on Amazon. It basically just tells you how well a book is selling. So we will, of course, dive into Amazon and see what this looks like and see the information we can pull from it. But when I use these two terms, this is what I'm talking about. So what we aren't doing is we are not simply picking a book topic, creating a book, and then finding keywords for that book to rank under. This is what a lot of people do. They look at keywords as after the fact. They've created their book. Now let's find some keywords for it to rank. This is very, very wrong. Do not do this. Of course, we do want our book to rank under keywords when we go to publish it. More so with low content books, we want it to rank as many places as possible. But the initial keyword research process to find the book topic is very important, and we want to make sure we're finding a specific topic that proves our book can do well. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be finding a profitable book topic or keyword. We are then going to create a book for that main search term and that search term alone. And then we launch our book properly, so it ranks underneath that search term on page 1. Somebody types in stock market investing for teens. They see our book, which is about stock market investing for teens. And because it's ranking right there and it's for that specific customer, they're going to buy it. And honestly, if my book ranks for nothing else but that one search term, because it's so focused and specific, as long as there is demand, your book will sell. And so that's what I always say is that 90% of your sales are going to come from your main search term, stock market investing for teens, as long as you're ranking there and there is demand. And if you only make a book for that search term, it's also going to rank anywhere else that's relevant. So we don't want to just try and make a book that ranks everywhere. Doesn't make any sense. Create one book for one specific search term, and it's going to rank anywhere else that's relevant. So my process is very simple. It does work for high content and low content book publishing, regardless of what you do. You can use this method, but basically I'm going to be looking for topics that people are already buying. I'm then going to reverse engineer what's already working and create a high quality book that the customer wants. I'm then going to launch it properly so that the customer can actually see it. And what happens when you have a book topic that people are already buying, you create that thing that the customer wants and you put it in front of their face so they can see it, they're going to buy it. And I know it sounds super simple, but this is the secret formula to Amazon KDP. This is the formula I've always used. I'm always going to use it. When you understand this premise, you're going to do it once, it's going to work, and you realize you can do this for as long as Amazon KDP is alive, and you will always make money with it. Amazon KDP is not oversaturated. It doesn't make any sense. There's always people looking for something. There's always people buying something. And all we have to do is create that thing and put it in front of their face. And when you learn how to do that, learn how to make what the customer wants, learn how to put it in front of their face, then you realize there's no competition, there's no saturation. You can literally do this as long as you want and you will always make money. This also eliminates any book marketing. So when you're just putting your book in front of somebody who wants it, all you're going to be doing is running a little bit of Amazon ads to keep your book relevant, to launch it. But in terms of book marketing, there is no marketing because people are already searching and buying the topic and your book is there. Your book is now ranking and getting seen by those people. So what book marketing could you possibly need to do? If there's a bar that lets out at 2 in the morning and you have hundreds of people coming out of that bar, if there's a hot dog stand right there, they could have the worst hot dogs in the world, but they're going to sell out. that hot dog stand needs to do absolutely zero marketing because they are in front of somebody who wants that thing. So what is my actual process to finding these book topics? So basically we're going to go into Amazon. We're going to search through the bestseller categories. I'm sure you've seen this method before. It's very common. However, there is a specific twist that I've been doing lately and I'm going to be adding in for 2025 and beyond that makes a big difference and helps you find the untapped topics. It's very easy to find book topics, but finding book topics that are untapped with low competition is more difficult, but I will show you how to do that. From there, we're simply going to record a list of these potential topics, and then we're just going to validate the list. Based on these specific metrics I've been gathering over the last few years, it's going to be the most accurate way to predict if we can actually sell in a keyword or not. So when it comes to finding our book topics, we are going to need a specific tool to actually view the bestseller rank of books. And there are two things you can get. One is either DS Amazon Quick View. This is the free tool. So if you don't have a budget for a paid tool, you can get DS Amazon Quick View in the Chrome store. But if you do have a budget, I would recommend using BookBeam. This is what I use. It allows me to see the bestseller ranks of books and has tons of other features and tools as well. And the next thing we're going to need is simply an incognito or private window. The reason we want a private window is we want to be able to look at the US market, Amazon.com, with a US zip code without any search results being skewed from our own personal shopping. So most likely the algorithm will show you things that you already are interested in. So you want to go to a private browser and make sure that this isn't happening. So let's hop into Amazon and have a look at how I find some keywords. So I have Amazon open in the bestseller categories, which I will leave linked below. I'm on Amazon.com. I have a US zip code plugged in, and I also have my keyword research spreadsheet. So I will link this completely free below, and we will go over the metrics when we go to validate the keywords in a second. So don't worry about the metrics, simply download this spreadsheet so you can record your potential topics, and then we will validate them after. So now all I'm going to do is start to go through these bestseller categories and start to find some book topics. So we can go to health, fitness, and dieting. So just spend a good amount of time doing this. And all you're going to do is just start to look at the books that are here and ask yourself, what are they about? So if you don't know what they're about at a glance, just keep looking. You will very quickly see book topics that just show themselves to you. Like right here, the anti-inflammatory diet. That's a potential topic. And we're just going to go in as many categories as we can and find as many book topics as we see. So when it comes to time frames, some people go and do this for like 2 hours and wonder why they didn't find a profitable keyword. If it was that easy, everybody would be rich and you wouldn't be watching this video. You can't just find a good keyword in a couple hours. You might get lucky. Luckily, you have my spreadsheet to prove if it is good or not, which we will get into. But don't be afraid to spend 1, 2, 3 weeks doing this. For a couple hours every day, create a list of multiple hundred keywords, validate them all, and you're going to find the real winners that most people don't find. Amazon KDP is a slow process. Take your time, look for good book topics, look for book topics that are untapped, people haven't seen before, because if you're only spending an hour on keyword research, it's most likely that other people are also spending an hour or two doing it. And so they're just going to find all the same stuff that you are. Now, of course, we're going to dive into a little bit more strategic of a method that I use to find the untapped stuff, which will open up more ideas quicker. But don't be afraid to spend a few weeks doing this because the keyword is the most important part of the publishing process. So right away, we have core exercises for seniors. So I'm just going to start recording these down. Core exercises for seniors. We also have anti-inflammatory diet. And so this part of the method is very simple. Just go into as many book categories as you can. But this is where my method differs a little bit, and what I've been doing just more recently, and it has been very effective, is I will actually click on these books. And although it's no surprise that you click on these books and you start to look at the books that come up underneath the book that you clicked on, what I'm going to do now is spend a majority of my keyword research just clicking into books. And what happens is when you continue to click into books, you're going to get kind of deep into Amazon and find some more interesting topics, because if we're just looking at the categories, it's only going to show you the surface level, few hundred books, which everyone's going to find. Everyone's going to see those. So if you just start to click into books, once you get to a new product page, have a look at what's being recommended and click into another one, you're going to get very deep into Amazon and find some very interesting topics. So of course you will find some very repetitive topics because they're going to be related to the book that you're on, but that's fine. Just keep getting creative with it. find some topics that are a little different and click into those. And if you are finding you're not seeing much, that's fine. Go back to a new book, a new topic, and start fresh and go into the books that are there. So we've seen a lot of Ayurvedic books, but now we see Reiki for beginners. So this is a different topic as well. So now it starts to move into something different, as you can see. And these are all books that aren't just ranking in the categories. These are books that I only would have seen if I clicked into books. So you can safely say that people are only finding these if they're doing the same thing. They're not just going to be on the surface level exercise categories where everybody sees them. And so this is just where you're going to find some topics that aren't as exposed. Here we go. We have middle school study guide. So that's a topic. I'm definitely going to record that. And this all came from clicking on an Ayurvedic medicine book. We have the guide for women with ADHD. So women with ADHD, that's absolutely a topic. High school study guide, study strategies for teens. So once again, we're just looking for topics and recording them. And we're going to worry about validating them in a second. Don't worry about the metrics, just worry about finding potential book topics. So this is kind of my secret method. Just go in as deep as you can and continue to click on these books. And this is where you want to spend a majority of your keyword research. Don't just stay in the surface level categories. Go into books and you're going to find some more hidden topics that aren't as exposed to the public. So I'm going to go ahead, do this for a little bit, and then find some things that we can go and validate. So for the people who do have BookBeam, there is a very valuable tool we can use on the BookBeam web app, and that is the niche finder that's under research. So we go to research, we go to niche finder, and now what we can do is simply put in the parameters of a book that's selling well and see what books fall under that category. So I'm going to click the US market. I'm going to change the bestseller rank to 1 to 30,000. So low, it's selling well. I'm going to change the number of reviews to around 150, 200. So this way it's going to show me books that are selling well with a low amount of reviews so I can actually compete with them. If there are other books selling with low reviews, it must mean the topic is pretty good. And for age, usually I'll do around 6 months, anywhere from 6 to 12 months, because that means it's a newer topic, somebody published in it recently, and their book is selling well with low reviews. And we can click find books. So now it's just going to show you book topics that are books that are already selling very well with low reviews. So right away we have Ocean Scene Coloring Book. We have the Home Apothecary Book. So these are all topics right away. So we have 2,000 results, so we can keep going through the pages and see what we find. Easy weeknight dinners. This is definitely a book topic. Maybe weeknight dinners is a popular up and coming cookbook niche. So if you do have the BookBeam tool, definitely check out the niche finder. It's a great way to bypass the Amazon search and just find some winning topics, because if the books have low reviews, a low bestseller rank, they're selling well, there must be some sort of validity to the topic in which we can further validate. So now let's get into the most important part of the keyword research process, and that is keyword validation. So what exactly makes a winning keyword? 1, a topic that people are already buying. We want to prove that people are looking and buying for something. And 2, a topic that we can sell in. So if people are already buying a topic and there isn't too much competition, there's no reason we can't sell books as long as we do create a good book and launch it properly. And there are 2 metrics that we use to find out these things, and that is traffic and demand and competition and visibility. So these are the 2 sections of metrics I use, and you can download my free keyword research spreadsheet below, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. So let's go have a look at the spreadsheet itself. All right, so let's go over the metrics I have for validating keywords. The first one is the traffic and demand section, starting with the search volume. So you will need the BookBeam tool to see this. If you don't have the BookBeam tool, that's fine, just ignore it. However, if you do have the BookBeam tool, we're going to record the search volume of the keyword. We're then going to record any books that have a bestseller rank of 50,000 or less, and ideally less than 150 reviews. So these are what I call winning books. We want at least 3 of these because what these are doing are just proving that books with low reviews are selling. If there's a lot of books with low reviews selling, it must mean the demand for the keyword is high, and we can create a book that sells as well. The next metric is dead books. So these are books with anywhere from 25 plus reviews that aren't selling very well. They have a high bestseller rank. And the reason why this is important is because if there are a ton of dead books and no winning books, that metric alone tells us there are more books that aren't selling than books that are selling. So why would we sell books if there's no winning books, there's 10 dead books, telling us nobody is buying the books that are there and all the books that are there are not selling? So in my opinion, this spreadsheet is very accurate in determining if a keyword is good or not. So definitely download it for free below as these are the exact metrics I look at when determining if a keyword is good or not. So going into competition and visibility, of course we have our search results, and we will hop in and validate a keyword and walk through these metrics in a second. So if you don't know where to find these, I will show you. We then want to ask ourselves, do the books actually match the search result itself? Because we want our topic to be stock market investing for teens, and the books underneath it are stock market investing for teens. That shows us that the data is relevant. If we type in diet cookbook, and there's Golo diet, pescatarian diet, keto diet, Mediterranean diet, the metrics for that keyword aren't relevant because we don't know which books are selling well. They're all different topics. We want to make sure the topics that are underneath our search term are all the same. It's the same topic. So we can let the data tell us if the book topic is good or not. The next metric we want to look at is actually pages of books. So although we do have the search results, this doesn't tell us the full story. What's going to tell us the full story is when we actually start to look through the pages of the books and then see when it starts to either die off, when the books start to not sell very well, or goes into a new topic. Because if there is 30 plus pages of relevant books, it's going to be hard to rank on page 1. However, if there's only 4 to 6, it's going to be a lot easier to get from page 5 to page 1. And so this is a very important metric to actually determine the saturation of the topic. And a final metric is authority figures. These are books that have over 1,000 reviews, which are just very hard to compete with. They are authorities in the topic. And if all the books that are selling well are authority figures, it's going to be very unlikely we're going to be able to compete with them. So let's go ahead and validate some keywords. So there's a couple of keywords here I want to validate together. One is a good keyword and one is a bad keyword. So we're going to very clearly see the difference and you can understand how effective this spreadsheet really is. So the first one is good energy cookbook. So all I'm going to do to validate this keyword is the same thing. Go to my Amazon window and type in the search term. From there, I'm going to record the metrics that we talked about. So the first one being search volume. So for the good energy cookbook, we have 40,000, so very high. However, it doesn't tell the full story, but I do like to record it. So 40,000, and the spreadsheet will auto-populate the numbers for you. So now we're going to be looking for books with a 50,000 BSR or less, with less than 150 reviews. So we have 1. It's a bit over, but that's fine. We have 2. We have 3. We have 4. We have 5. So we're going to go with 5. So we have 5, so we are in the green. So now we're going to be counting the dead books. How many books have 25 reviews or more or not selling? So I'm just going to quickly count these. So I had about 14. So I always take the metrics from page 1 of the search results. Page 2 and beyond isn't super relevant. I always like to look at page 1. So going into the search results, we have 3,000. Do the books match the search term? Yes. They're all on Good Energy Cookbook. So now we want to look at the pages of books. So this is an important metric because when we do look at the pages of books, it's going to tell us exactly how much actual saturation there is in the topic. And so as you can see, we're on page 3, and there's already books that are on different topics. We have the Blue Zone Kitchen, we have a smoothie book, we have an Instant Pot cookbook, and more importantly, as you can see, some of these books have no reviews. So if we publish a book and get as little as 1 review, we're already going to come up on page 3. And so then all we have to do is simply go to page 1 with our launch, and we're right there. So if there is a ton of traffic on page 1, we're only having to move through a couple pages of books to get there, and it's not very hard. So in this case, I'm going to go 3. So just to reiterate what I'm looking for, is I'm just looking for where it kind of dies off. The books on the topic have very low reviews and aren't selling at all, as well as it starts to go into other topics. Air fryer cookbook, anti-inflammatory diet cookbook. So it's different topics, and it's also books that aren't even competition. No reviews, not selling. So in this case, we can go 3. And now finally, I'm going to go to the authority figures. Once again, back on page 1. So in this topic, there's actually only one authority figure, which is this main book here. So we're going to pick 1. And just to reiterate, authority figures are books with over 1,000 reviews. So now let's quickly go over these metrics and see what we found. So I will make a note that this is a diet cookbook. Diet cookbooks often die off before Christmas. No one is starting a diet right now. Come January, this topic will pick right back up. However, the results are still pretty good. So as you can see, there are lots of books that have low reviews that are selling well, and there are virtually no authority figures. The only metric that is red is the dead book metric. So basically, it's telling us that there are a lot of books that aren't selling. However, if you do look at the books, they have 37 reviews, 4 stars, 16 reviews, 22 reviews, 3 reviews. So realistically, are these really our competition? So of course, it will be hard to stand out in this topic because there are so many books that look similar, but that's something to keep in mind is a majority of the competition is just the first 2 rows. So basically this is telling us if we can publish a book, we can get 100 reviews, we can launch it properly, we can have a desirable cover, and we can rank on the top of page 1, there's no reason our book isn't going to sell. And of course, going into the new year, when the topic picks back up, most likely what's going to happen is a lot of these books are going to be selling even better. So the dead books are going to go down and the winning books are going to go up. So if we change this to, let's say, 8, the dead books to 5, now we have a really good keyword. There's no authority figures, a lot of books are selling, even with low reviews. So as long as we make a book at least on par with these, our book should sell. Now, of course, I don't recommend you publish in this topic because good energy is a trademark term, and a lot of people publishing in it don't really realize that. A lot of the traffic is coming from the one main book, so I wouldn't recommend it, but that's why it is a good example to look at. But basically how I've designed the spreadsheet is if it is all green, it's going to be a good keyword. In no way will an all green column like this be a bad keyword on this spreadsheet. So even if you're kind of confused with the metrics, you're not really sure, just fill them out and find the ones that are all green. Do this to 200 plus keywords and I promise you will find a winner. A lot of the time you might have passed by winning keywords because you didn't know what to look for. So let's go and validate another keyword here that might not be as good and compare the results. So this one here is renal diet cookbook. So I'm going to run through the search results here and get some of the metrics. So let's go over what we found. So as you can see, the traffic and demand section is very bad. There's no search volume. There's literally 0 winning books and there's over 20 dead books. So over 20 books that aren't selling and no books that are. The only books that are selling was a couple authority figures that had over 3,000 reviews. So how I do keyword research is I would stop right here. If the traffic and demand section is bad, I could care less what this section looks like. It's irrelevant to me because if nobody is buying the books, this doesn't matter. And so always make sure the traffic and demand section is good before you even move on. If you really want to find a winner, there has to be lots of demand, there has to be lots of books selling, and there has to just be clearly people buying the books that are there. So I don't mind if there are a ton of dead books, because like I mentioned, a lot of the dead books have low reviews, they have bad covers. So the most important metric I look for is the winning books. If there is clear proof, 4, 5, 6, 7 books that have low reviews that are selling well, that means that there's high demand in the topic. Ideally, we have all green, but this is the most important metric to look at. And then when you pair lots of winning books with an all green competition and visibility, as long as you make a good book and launch it properly, which I do have other videos on my channel talking about, your book is going to sell. So just to reiterate, if you have no idea what these metrics mean, you're very confused, just fill the spreadsheet out. It's going to tell you if the keyword is good. This is exactly how I do keyword research. And this process very easily proves if a keyword is good or not. From there, all you have to do is, of course, create a good book people want to buy, get enough reviews to compete, and launch it so the traffic can see it. But the foundation of the good keyword is there. And so the crazy thing is I do a lot of coaching calls. I help a lot of people out with their Amazon KDP businesses. I have paid courses, I have free courses. It's very often I will see people publish in these type of topics that simply have no demand. And then they're asking me how to improve their book marketing to sell their book. But in reality, it doesn't matter the marketing strategy you have. Your book is never going to sell because nobody is looking for it. So get this spreadsheet. It's completely free in the description below. Fill it out and it will tell you if a keyword is good or not. So the most important thing with this process is finding proof. We want to prove that other books that we can also create are selling well. If we find other books with low reviews, maybe they're self-published, but they're selling super well, it's basically telling us as long as we make a book on par with that, we launch it properly, it's going to sell too. Once we do that, we want to prove that we can actually compete with the books that are there. How many authority figures are there? How much saturation is there? And then all we have to do is give the customer what they want. Reverse engineer what's working, do some research, find out how to position our book, and just give the customer what they're looking for to solve their problem. What's also important is not to be afraid of competition. As long as reviews are low on the books that are there, under 200, go where the demand is. Most self-publishers don't make great books. they don't make great covers, and they don't launch their books correctly, and 90% of the books under most search terms aren't actually your competition. You're only competing with the first 2 rows of page 1. So as long as those books are reasonable, the reviews are low, their covers are just okay, as long as we make a better book with the same amount of reviews, we launch it properly, we're going to sell just as well as those ones, and hopefully even better into the future. Once we are ranking on page 1, then we can optimize our book to be the best book in the topic. Of course, we would have already done research to find out how to angle our book to make it more desirable. But more importantly, we now want to look at things like the click-through rate on our ads, adjust our cover, adjust our product page, and slowly improve the conversion rate of our book, make it the most enticing book there, and of course, slowly start to gather more reviews. If we have a good book that's selling at 50 reviews, it's going to sell even better at 200 plus. So don't be afraid of competition. As long as the books don't have 1,000 reviews plus, it's fine. As long as they're under 200, under 300, because if you have 100 reviews and the book has 300 reviews, if you have a better cover and title, your book will sell better than that book. Reviews only matter when they start to get 1,000 plus, but when it's 100, 200, 300 in that range, the best book with the best cover and title is what's going to win. A good example of this working is my most recent book launch. I launched at the end of August, and it's made almost $8,000. I think it's actually over $8,000 now because I am filming this on the 23rd, but it just goes to show when you do go into a topic that has demand, the book sells. It ranks high, there's so much traffic that it makes lots of organic sales, and this is just the beginning. It's only been live a few months, and even more importantly is this is the slow time of year for this topic. I'm actually in the exercise niche, so no one's starting a new diet or exercise in November or December. They're waiting until January. So January, February, March, exercise topics just explode. They go crazy. So I've been setting my book up for that point, and I will be making updates on the book itself and seeing how it performs in the new year. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned for that. This is a great case study because it isn't a topic that's quite saturated, lots of competition. However, the demand is very high, and there's not too many authority figures. So all I did was create a high quality book, launch it properly so it ranked good on page 1, and now it just sells from all the organic traffic that's there. And come the new year, when the traffic picks up even more, I assume it's going to absolutely blow up. So just to reiterate, go to where the people are, give them what they want, put it in front of their face, and your book is going to sell organically with minimal ad spend. And this is how you really make money with Amazon KDP. Don't forget, I have my completely free Amazon KDP course as well as my Amazon Ads Masterclass in the first link in the description. You can check that out for free. And if you want some more no-nonsense Amazon KDP advice, definitely subscribe for more. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.